All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakak Radash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and also honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word of sincerity and truth. All right, excuse me. Today I want to talk about the topic that we spoke on yesterday at camp, which was we it wasn't about Mother's Day initially. We were talking about the idea of a man not allowing a woman to rule over his life. And if you're a man who has conceded to the rule of a woman, then you're failing as a man. And that was in so many words the statement that I made. And this older man came up who said he was a Harvard PhD, but I don't believe that. But this man came up and said, "How are you going to say that on Mother's Day? His statement was, how are you going to disrespect women on Mother's Day?" And it set me off, and I got fired up because I am the product of the not unreasonable, but the I want to say, for some reason I want to say unreasonable, but I don't think that's the right word to use. But I'm a product of the the unwarranted worship of the woman. I'm a product of that. And most black men are. So I don't want to sound like a victim, because most black men are a product of this excessive uh, pedestalizing of the woman, right? And I remember. I'll just tell this quick testimony. I don't want to make this too much about myself. I want to get into these scriptures here, but when I was a kid, I don't remember how old I was, but I was young because this movie came out years ago. There's two movies that I say kind of set me up for what was going to happen in my adulthood, my early adulthood. One was The Color Purple, and one was What's Love Got to Do with It. And in both of these movies, the man is painted as um, this monster, this animal. Yeah, in the movie The Color Purple, it starts out one of the first scenes in the movie is a man having intercourse with his own daughter. That's how the movie starts, right? And then it carries on, and then you see um, the same father. um, she got his daughter pregnant, and they took the baby from her and gave it away, right? Then it goes on. This father sells his daughter to some guy, right? Then the guy treats her like shit the whole movie, right? So and I watched the reaction of my aunts and my grandmother and just the women in my life around me that would watch this movie, and I wanted their approval. So in my mind, what they were doing was terrible, and I wanted to be as far away from this terrible type of man that I could be. And What's Love Got to Do with It, which is the Ike and Tina Turner story, did the same thing, where it was this man who just beating on his wife and raped his wife and threatened to kill his wife and all of this shit, and it set up my mindset for how I would treat women as I grew up. And what it did to me was, it made me always look for the approval of a woman. Am I doing this right? Look at me. Am I saying this the right way? Am I cool enough for her? That's not a way for a man to live his life. That's not a way for no man to live his life. The purpose of a man when it comes to the relationship between him and his woman and his children is to be the authority, is to be the leader, is to guide them through life. You are supposed to be the leader as a man, and that's really what the point was. But this world today has, again, um, hyper pedestalized what a woman is. Right. So I wanted to get into what the scriptures talk about, because I'm a firm believer that Christianity perpetuates this Hollywood, um, um, uh, well, yeah, this destruction of the man and pedestalizing of the woman, right? And it's media's thing, right? But again, Christianity helps to perpetuate this, right? So I want to read the scriptures to to illustrate what the scriptures say about the woman's role in society. The woman the woman should be second fiddle, right? And that's a term for orchestra, right? Second fiddle is like basically you're not the lead violinist, right? You're there to supplement the whole sound, right? It's an orchestra term, and it's there's nothing wrong with being second fiddle, but you need to understand that you are second fiddle. If you are a woman and you have a man and he's in your life, you are second fiddle. You are there to supplement his life, not to lead his life. And both men and women need to understand that, right? So I'll start here. Um, this is Ecclesiastes 7:26. It says, "And I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands," right? What do you do with snares and nets, right? You trap things, right? I mean, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to look it up in Google, and I'm going to look it up in the blue letter here. A snare drum, but that's not what I want. Boom. A trap for catching birds or animals, typically one having a noose or wire or cord. A length of wire, gut, or hide stretched across a drum head to produce the rattling sound. Okay. So that's the drum. That's the drum. This is a snare drum, right? That's why it gets that kind of like that rattling sound when you hit it. Um, but this is what I want to focus on here. The first definition: a trap, right? So let's go here. Right? Siege works, bulwark, hunting, right? Hunting implement, net, right? So these are things that are designed to catch something, to trap something, right? And what does Solomon say here? The woman's heart is as snares and nets. So she's constantly set on figuring out how she's gonna trap you. This is what the wisest king in world history said about the woman. And I should have read this 25th verse here. It says, "I applied mine heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reason of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness." And here was his conclusion. You see this colon or semicolon, I forget what the two dots are. I think semicolon. That means there's something else to follow. So here's what his conclusion was when he applied his heart to know and he searched and sought out wisdom. He said, "I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape from her." Why would you need to escape from something that is is righteous, or that is good for you? If it is good for you, you don't need to escape from it. You escape from something that's dangerous. Let me look up me look this word up. Escape. To slip away, to be delivered, right? To let slip out, to let escape, right? So here's what I'm gonna do. Let's see what Google says. It says break free from confinement or control, right? Fail to be noticed or remembered by someone. An act of breaking free from confinement or control, right? So that's what when you're escaping, you don't escape from something that is good for you. You only escape from things that are harmful to you, or that is has entrapped you, confined you. But the sinner shall be taken by her. So if the Heavenly Father is telling you as a man that if you please him, then you can escape from her. And I'm and I say this modestly, I'm proof of that, man. The more I immersed myself into the truth, I escaped from someone who our relationship has been repaired since, but it was she was a bad person for me, man. She was a terrible person, and I had to escape from that. And when I did, that's when I started growing in the truth. I started growing as a man, and I started to understand what leadership is and what authority is, and what people will try to do to you. Right, when you talk about leadership and authority, they'll bring up Hitler, or they'll bring up Stalin. Right, two extremes to an idea. Right, and this is what people do to tarnish the idea. They talk about the extreme of it. Oh, what do you want to be like Hitler? No, right? I want it, but I do want to have authority and rule over my life and over the people in my life that are under that rule. And that's a problem of ours. We stopped learning and teaching our young men how to be leaders. We you know Oh, don't do that to your sister. Do what? Like it's another testimony of mine, and I ask that you bear with me. But I have a 5-year-old son and I have a 3-year-old daughter, and I listen to them. I listen to them and the things that they say to one another, and I watch them, the things that they do to one another. And my son, what he says and does to his sister could be perceived as what the world calls mean, but I don't believe in that. I believe that he is exercising what is innate in him, his leadership gene. He is exercising that, and he's learning how to do those things. Of course, they're rough around the edges and they need to be tamed, and that's what I'm here for. But he's learning how to be a leader, how to take the charge over a situation. But we take that from them as children because, oh, that's your sister. You ain't supposed to be doing that to your sister. Give that back to her. No, he's learning how to use his authority. Of course, it needs to be tamed because he's 5. He doesn't know. He doesn't have enough life experience. So you have to be there to tame it. You have to be there to prune it, if you will. But he's exercising his authority, and what you're showing your daughter when you do that is how to take the lead, or I'm sorry, how to follow the lead. I tell my daughter all the time, did you hear what your brother said? Especially if he's on point. Did you hear what your brother said? Yes, I heard it. Okay, well then do it. A woman learns how to serve at home. We lost these things, man. We lost these pieces of our culture. We'll go here. This is I want to start up a little bit, right? I'm going to read verse 21. And again, I hope you bear with me. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but just bear with me. This is Sirach 25 and 21. It says, "Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure." Right? And this is important, right? Because this is another thing. Men get so enamored by women. Oh, she's so beautiful, and it just makes you do, excuse me, unruly things, man. Just as beautiful as one is, there is another one that is as beautiful or more beautiful than her. And we get enamored by her, and then and what we think of, all we think of is trying to please her. I don't have a problem with uh an average or even below average woman being in my life. I don't think twice about it. I don't think twice about it. Average woman or a below average woman, because I'm going to be able to have discipline for myself and not be enamored by her presence. And I can do and move through life the way I need to move through life because I'm not enamored by somebody's beauty. You get Jake though, they get wrapped up in having a bad bitch, whatever the fuck that means. It is a curse to constantly think about how you can please a woman. That is a curse. Her duty in life is to please you. Niggas, you go on these dates with these women, and it's like you're in an interview. You got your best voice on, you got your best clothes on. She's supposed to be interviewing for you. She's supposed to be proving to you her worth and value. What can she add to your life? Not vice versa. Matter of fact, let me go to the scripture because we read this. Well, we didn't get a chance to read it. I think it's 31 and 34 or 34 and 31. I can't remember. It must be 34 and 31. Bear with me here. Ezekiel 34 and 31. "And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your power, saith the Lord power." The Lord's flock, his pasture, are men. He set us up to be the leaders and the authority. And that's the way it should be, man. That's the way it should be. So let me keep going. I bounced around a little bit. I read this one, but I want to go back to this one. Verse 27, it says, "Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not one man among 1,000. I'm sorry, but I find not one man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among those have I not found." So the scriptures is there. And again, it's not to say that women don't have a role in your life, but that role is supplemental. It's supplemental. It's just like a person who has a lot of business to take care of. We'll speak in terms like a celebrity, right? Who has to field calls from different movie studios and show offers and interviews and all of these different things. As one person, those things get hard to field and you might miss an opportunity. So what do? You need to hire an assistant. You hire an assistant to field those calls. And then when the business gets even bigger, what do you have to do? You have to hire a second assistant. And now you delegate to one assistant. You say, okay, you field calls for interviews. You field calls for show offers. Right? It's the same thing in business. As your business grows, as your importance in the world grows, you need somebody to field certain parts of that business because you're only one person. So those assistants supplement your life. It's the same concept. Why do you think there's not a mistake that most secretaries are women? That's not a mistake. That is innate. It is the way the Heavenly Father designed it. So as your life grows, right, you need an assistant in your life. The more children you have, right, the more income you make, right, the more bills that come in, right, the more property you own. As your life grows, the more you need supplements in your life. Those things are important. So they have their role, but their role is not to be the leader. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let's do this. This is First Timothy 5:13. Actually, let me I'm gonna jump up to 11. It says, but the younger widows refuse. I'm actually no. Let me go up. Boom. This is First Timothy 5:9. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 60 years old. Right? 60 is 60. A score is 20, and 3 times 20 is 60. Right? So a woman wasn't even allowed to be taken into the church until she was 60 years old. But that wasn't the only criteria. Listen, having been the wife of one man, right? So if she was married more than once, let's say it was lawful, right? Where her husband died and then she married again, which is lawful. Even in that scenario, she couldn't be a part of the church. She doesn't meet that criteria, right? Well reported of for good works. If she have brought up children, right? So she had to have been a mother, understanding how to raise children. If she have lodged strangers, meaning allowing people to come into her home and take care of them, put them up, give them food, give them room, right? If she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work. So this was the criteria even before a woman was taken into the church. Do you know how slim that is? Especially today. Oh my Lord. Back then it was more common for a woman to reach her older years, the twilight of her life, and to have only been with one woman and be a respectable woman. It was more common in these days. But today, oh my Lord, the 60-year-old women in today, they want to be in the club with their 40-year-old daughters. It's a sad sight to see. Where chastity is frowned upon. Can you imagine? Imagine this, man. Chastity is being frowned upon in America. A woman who has discipline over her box is frowned upon. That's a sad world to live in, man. It says, verse 11, but the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Hamashiach, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. You know what I heard about Wilhelmina and her husband? Oh yeah, they was down at the market. They was fighting. Oh my God, because Mordecai, he had told her. He said, look, we gonna get these fruits because these fruits is more fresh. But she gonna say, no, I don't want those. And then they got the tussling around in the market. That's what they do. This is why do you think soap operas have lasted so long? Novella. Why do you think in every culture there's a type of soap opera? Because that's all it is a bunch of gossip. General Hospital. This guy is messing with this girl, then she messes with the other guy, and then their kids is fighting, and that's why those things are so successful, because women watch them. They are not fit to be the lead of a family. They are supplemental, and that is it. You are the leader as a man. Keep going. Um, I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, Give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, for some are already turned aside after Satan. Mm. There, there, there. There's a certain, and this is with anybody really. When you allow liberty to a person, there's an old saying in the world, and there's a reason for it. When you give them an inch, they take a mile, right? So what does that say? That says that there has to be some type of control over the way people behave themselves. You keep them at that inch so that you understand that, or they understand that there's expectations of them. But when you give them liberty, well, I think I pulled that up. What was it? This one. This is Sirach 26 and 12. It says, let me see. Boom. I'll start at 10. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straitly, right? Lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty. So what is that saying? The more freedom you have, think about this for a second. Women talk about having freedom, right? And liberty. They even had a movement called women's liberation, right? And what has their liberty got them? They don't care about being uh or they don't care about reestablishing the family. They don't care about bringing the fathers back into the household with their freedom. They use their freedom to what? Show their ass and titties. That's what freedom is to them. Being a so-called sexually liberated, showing your pussy to every man you see. That's liberty to them. That's freedom to them. And then they'll cite Sojourner Truth. You think Sojourner Truth, her old ass was trying to show her titties and ass? That's the message you got from her? that's not what liberation was about. They wanted to work, but you want to show your ass and tits. So bust it, right? You finally got a chance to be free, and then you do the very thing that you say you don't want to be to a man, which is a sexual object. Imagine that. You finally got free. You finally liberated, and the first thing you do is to do the very thing that you say men wanted you to be, which was a sex object, showing your ass and your body and your titties, shaking your booty. Come on, man. Which one do you want? Do you want to be free from being a sexual object or not? Let me keep going. It says, watch over in an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespass against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he have found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down, and open her quiver against every arrow. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as as a mind well instructed. What do you think this means? So that's it, man. I feel like I'm ranting a bit. I feel like I'm ranting a bit. I had a couple of other scriptures, but I'm gonna stop there. The point of this is the point of this show is this. The Heavenly Father set up men to be the leaders. Right? It is our responsibility to watch over the husbandry as the husband. Right? And your husbandry is what? Just like a farmer, his husbandry is his crops. Your husbandry is your wife and your children. And you are responsible for guiding them. You are responsible for how their temperament is in the world. To prune and to cut so that they stay in order. And it is a woman's job to follow that order. To follow that lead. Now I don't want no woman who's a pushover. I would never want that. I'm gonna listen to her, take into account what she's saying, and then I'm going to make the final decision. We're too enamored by the position of a woman in our black queens. The black woman is God. That is a curse. It hasn't gotten us anywhere. That's it, man. I want to give all praises as always to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai Bashim, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honor and salutations to the elect. And with that, I say Shalom.